organizer of the conference, and it's my pleasure to introduce to you Steve Ziff, of the VP of Marketing and Digital Media for the Jacksonville Jaguars, and he'll be talking about the four-letter word that starts with D. So let's give him a round of applause and bring him up here.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Not that four-letter word that starts with D, by the way, a different four-letter word. So data is obviously highly topical right now, right? And as I want to say it was Elizabeth said earlier today, or Lindsay said earlier today in one of the first presentations I saw, data means nothing if it's just aggregated and there's no strategy or science behind what you're going to do with it. So today we'll talk a little bit about the process of how the Jaguars specifically have invested in just a series of technologies, people, and infrastructure that really help us just do everything we're trying to do as marketers, which is learn more about our customers and give them more of what we're looking for. And I'm going to buzz through this because I know this is a little bit of a limited time. And as usual, if you know me, I say one word when you can say three is my personality type. So I'll buzz through this. So, marketers have really become, the new CIO. And this was a quote that was published in Gartner probably about 4 or 5 years ago, but by 2017, the CMO will spend more on technology than the CIO. And it's pretty much true as we approach the mid part of 2017. Marketers are the leading edge technology spenders in most organizations. This is more of a global quote, not just germane to the sports industry. And it's because the technology that we need now in companies is data-based technology. And we need to learn more about people to sell them more stuff, predominantly, amongst other things. But it's an important quote. So let me just start by kind of giving you a sense of what the Jaguars prepare for emotionally and mentally. And this was a story of our 2016 offseason. We were so excited. We were about to turn the corner. This was kind of the brand manifesto for the season upcoming. We lead off with every year, and it fell flat. Team sucked. I mean, just an abysmal collapse. It was awful, totally awful. So everything we had set up to structure around winning, we were ready to win. We were ready for more. It was not there. It was absolutely not there. So we go back to what we do as marketers and what we try to get our staff to focus on, which is control the controllables, right? And that's a statement from one of my old bosses in life. We used to say that repetitively, burned it so deep into my head, I think I wear it on my neck as a reminder. But what we tried to focus on was predominantly setting the foundation with ticket sales. Whoop, I lost the slide down there. Understanding the fans better. Being experts in data and digital, right? I mean, that was one of the things we said, if we're going to set out on a course of anything, let's just try to be experts in one thing that as marketers we can control. And I'll explain how we do that and what our focus is on that. Operational and organizational efficiencies. Listen, we're the thought leaders and the motivators of the organization. So as part of that, we want to drive efficiencies and help people solve problems. That is the marketer's goal, right? Predominantly sales, but as marketers and organizations now, we're solving problems all over the place, okay? And then, most importantly, learn how to help the organization, specifically as in our business, a sponsorship organization, sell to other marketers. Marketers talking to marketers, and not people that want to call themselves marketers, but people that really have a core focus in marketing and advertising. What are you interested in right now? And let's try to make the programs that we bring to market more germane to those people so that we can talk to them in a way that they understand and the way they're looking to action. And then listen, the last thing for us is being more of a media and entertainment company and getting the mindset of that kind of into the staff in general, not just being a football team. These are some core metrics. They come from the NFL averages. This is kind of our state of the franchise presentation. And I just wanted to show you just some things so you give perspective to kind of where we are. 13 down to 15 on a few of these slides, and then one's in reverse, I'll show you. But really it just shows you where we sit against the NFL average of fans by market. Now, we've had some significant growth. We're up 20% year over year last season, which is great. But in relative terms, we're last in the league, right? Smallest group of fans in the entire NFL in terms of our base of population that we speak to that call themselves and self-identify as a Jacksonville Jaguars fan. It's important to note that we've risen revenues, though, every year. So while we have a low fan base, we're making progress in a relative capacity, we're still driving the business. And how are we doing that, right? How are we driving the business? Well, if you look at sponsorship, one of the ways we talked about selling to other marketers, we're rising through the ranks. This is that slide in reverse, so 15 is now on the top. But you can see that we're up at 19th in the league with blended London revenue in there, but 20th in the league without in sponsorship revenue. In the smallest market in the NFL, the 47th rated media market, sponsorship revenue is strong. Why is it strong? It's strong because of ideas. It's strong because we lead out with data and insights, data to information to actionable insights that drive the majority of our sponsorship presentation. This is our deploy model for the entire organization. We try not to make many decisions around this organization without at least some information, okay? And if we can action that information, then we really start to work, okay? We spend more time if we haven't been able to action, but we start to work, okay? And if you're gonna invest in, if your organization's considering, or you're part of that decision-making tree to, how do we begin the investment? Whether we're just at a CRM state and that's all we've got, or we're deepening the roots beyond that, where's the investment strategy start? What do you do? You just start buying a bunch of technology, or you hire a bunch of people? Well, what's the process? Well, it all starts with having a strategy. If you don't have a strategy, you shouldn't make a goddamn move. Don't do a thing. Sit down and define the rationale and the reasoning behind your investment strategy, okay? Then, when you figure out what you're doing and why you're gonna do it, then start investing in people and technology. Because without them, you can't do anything, obviously, right? But they're all critically important components of a data-based decision-making tree, okay? So I'll just give you a sense of our consumer strategy, which is really the fan funnel. We all have seen this before. It's pretty simple. There's nothing too complex about our fan funnel, but really it's the process of understanding that as a branded sports team in a market like Jacksonville, our top of the funnel is off. We already covered that. Brand awareness is not our challenge, right? So it now starts with engagement, ID, MQL, SQL, opportunity, and purchase, okay? And that does drive a lot of our technology decision-making. We'll show you that in a second. But our organization's KPI, number one, is lead generation. Our marketing strategy for everything we do, the investments that I make as the lead of marketing, all relate back to capturing data. And you can see over the last 3 years, I joined the organization, I don't know if this thing's got a pointer, but I joined the organization right around August of 14. So as you see the eclipse, it's not because of me. It was already in process in the organization, but what we've done is refine the way we capture data. Everybody sells something in your organization. Salespeople sell for revenue, and everybody else can help us collect data. How do we do it? Lots of different ways, and lots of different metrics on the value of these opportunities, right? Not just, hey, how much revenue did we generate, or how many leads did we generate? What's the engagement? What was the content valuable, right? So as you look at things like the scrimmage is a great example of us using information about consumers to drive a higher value. And the value on that is leads, because the type of people that come to our family night are low income. It's the free event. It's their way to come to Everbank Field and see football for free. So we partnered with Nickelodeon, knowing that that's always been about a 15,000 person event annually. I mean, we could be 12-4, 4-12, and 15,000 people traditionally come to that scrimmage over the years. But we partnered with Nickelodeon and built a branded entertainment structure up on top of one of our open patios in the stadium and said, come to Nickelodeon Family Night and interact with Nickelodeon and watch football. 30,000 people showed up. Family index was through the roof. And most of the activation all night long while football was happening on the field was up on that deck with kids getting slimed. So the irony is we know people don't just want to watch games anymore. They want to do all kinds of things to engage with our brand. Our job as marketers is to figure out how to track them, how to append data to their profiles, how to learn more about the people that we want to talk to, and then how to drive them down the funnel in the proper way for them, not for us, okay? When are they ready? Another good piece of correlative data that we show. Basically, this shows us how to talk to people. Just an understanding of how to communicate. This is one layer, okay? So the gold line represents the average age of our current season ticket member base, the traditional base of population. The black line represents the last rookie class we sold through, 8,800 seats, right? The dotted circles represent our .com engagement, and the solid circles represent Facebook engagement. What does that tell you? Well, it tells you that as marketers, the mothership strategy of the website being the most important asset to communicate with fans is dead off if I'm looking for more season ticket holders. Because the people that I'm talking to now about buying season tickets are predominantly younger and engage more on Facebook. But without information, right, not just data, but information, and a piece of insight that now we can action off of, there's no strategy. There's no change in what we've been doing. So the point is that you've got to look for these correlations. You've got to dig deeper, okay, as a prevailing theme. Here's another way we look at content. We slice and dice content on about a 100-category basis. And we start to look at all of our content and analyze it in buckets in terms of how it performs. And all it tells us, again, is what to do next, right? The point is that it allows us to invest in content that matters and divest content that doesn't. The 80-20 rule is big time in effect in our organization because we're lean and mean. We have no choice but to cut the fat when it's not working and move on to things that work harder for us. And we need to have visualization on things like Facebook engagement to be able to do that. So I credit our analytics team, who I think might be in the room, unless they've got something much better to do than listen to me again, which is Ari Landsman-Ruse and Kellen Blumberg, because these guys really make our business run. How we look at sponsorship. No numbers in this slide. This is purely a strategy slide. We talk a lot about what we want to talk about and what we're paid to talk about. But the things that people want to listen to are native. They want authentic voices. Truth in advertising, to quote John Wanamaker, right? That's what people want more of. So our goal is to expand the type of content we create to be more native. So when we sell more stuff to sponsors and brands, and we bring them into our fold, and they want to bring their media buy concepts and mentality to us, okay, we tell them no. Not in a negative, impolite manner, but we tell them no professionally and politely because we want them to think with us, to build content that our fans want from our streams, right? They're buying into our advertising streams, and they're connecting with our fans for a reason. Well, we want to help them do that natively. And content is king is the old mentality. Native content is king. It's king, queen, prince, and princess. It's the most important thing that in sports marketing you can focus on. Contextual relevance to the consumer. I blew the quote, but the reality is the man said a multitude of things that were intelligent because they are predicated on truth in advertising, right? He didn't know which half of his ad dollars were wasted, but the point is now it's easier to start identifying which half is wasted. And if it's okay to waste money in advertising. I mean, my boss probably would be very upset if I said that, but it's okay to waste money in advertising as long as you're learning, as long as you're understanding where when you waste, you pick up a strategy to not waste again, okay? So as a marketer, I screwed this up. Probably noticed the fonts are all wacky. That's my fault. I should have PDF'd this presentation, but I was moving so fast that I didn't. So I spent 5 minutes back there trying to get this into a place where you could see it that wasn't killing me to look at it as a brand guy. But really, when you look at our common sense philosophies, like why do we get up in the morning and what's our marketing philosophy, right? Identify and solve problems. We do it all over the company. Identify and solve problems. That's what our focus is. And then we dig deeper, okay? We're not just great at saying, there's a problem, we'll figure out a solution later. Now it's time to start digging deeper. We can win and we can lose, spend money, spend time, spend resources, spin the wheels, doesn't matter as long as we're learning. And that's the kind of servant leadership that we deploy as leaders in our organization. We're okay with losing, even football games, as long as we're learning, okay? Because if we don't adapt as an organization and where we sit in our community with the situational challenges that our organization faces, we're dying. And that's an overused statement, but it's real in Jacksonville. Adapt or die. Innovate or be gone. Okay? So we've changed our spending strategy in marketing significantly. And I'm not going to put this into thousands for you because it's irrelevant. But the point is we've dropped down ad spending and driven up MarTech spending. We want more insight on the consumer more than I want more media in the market. And that as a brand, as a marketer, got to tell you, that's almost blasphemy to stop buying media. It's like, what else am I supposed to get up and do in the morning? But the reality is technology is fueling the decision-making process more than media is mattering, okay? So I talked about how our consumer strategy marries our data and tech stack. Well, here's a good example of how. And ironically, those lines line up, okay? So we use Omniture and Spreadfast and now Seros as engagement ID tools. Eloqua and BlueKai help us measure effectiveness in a little bit more of a depth-laden way and qualify leads and speak to people, build profiles, and learn about people. Then our custom CRM that we've built with custom dashboards and a white label algorithm, along with some partnership opportunities that we've now expanded to, help our sales force qualify the people. And then we get into how do we talk to people, right? Using crystal and Arctic. And we're going to show you a little bit more about that in a second. But the last statement down there is the most important. We only buy software that hits the strategy. We don't buy off the shelf. We get destroyed with requests, obviously. You can all, I'm sure, imagine, and I'm sure you all do it, that feel that same way, obviously. But we only stick to the strategy of buying what fits our tech stack. We just don't buy because it's cool or because it's new. So I talked about the content breakdown in terms of engaging audiences. I want to make sure I stay on time here, okay? And if you look at this left to right, Facebook engagement and tweets, right? And I think if you look at the engagement, you'll see two correlative statistics that I think are really important. It's not just talking about football that matters, and that's what most people think in their universe, right? It's talk about your product, and then people will listen. That's not true. That's absolutely far from true. Social only as a bucket is content that's exclusively designed for social media. It's short, it's snackable, and it's engaging. It fits the profile of what's hot on social media. So it drives engagement, and so does breaking news for obvious reasons. So what does this tell us? This is important. Why? It's important because it helps us sell content. It helps us drive revenue. It doesn't just help us figure out what to do next and what to talk about more of and what to talk about less of. Yeah, clearly it does that, but it also helps us find our way to the right activations with partners. So once we get that information, we get that engagement, how do we start appending data and scoring data and modeling data? And then what do we do with it, right? Well, the top 10% after all of that work is done go right to the sales force because we've got a big one. And they need to make calls, but we want them calling the right people. So once we get that top 10% scraped off, after all that first end work is done, we send that off. But the rest goes back in for further lead warming. Okay, not everybody goes to the sales team. That would be a disaster of epic proportions to have good quality people that are not ready for a sales engagement talk to a salesperson and be slammed. Not that we're slammers, but that is mentally what happens on the consumer end. I'm not ready to talk to you. Back off, man. Oh, you have a newsletter, you have information, you have content. I'll engage on my terms. Well, when we determine that person's ready because of their behavioral actions, okay, then we cycle them in for opportunity, okay? And again, the fonts kill me here, but behavioral profiling is much more important to us than demographic profiling. Why? Because why would I think about doing something for you based on what you should do when I can do something for you based on what you actually do? So if I can track behavior, it's the most opportunistic way to hit a customer with something that they're ready for next. Don't tell me I look like this guy. I wear many hats. I'm Steve the father. I'm Steve the professional. I'm Steve the marketing professional. I'm Steve the executive some days. I'm Steve the football coach, the baseball coach. I'm Steve of a multitude, right, of a multiple. And the reality is only my behavior will tell you how to reach me, okay? Because I can't hide from what I do, but I can sure hide in a demographic layer, okay? I can look like a lot of people that I'm not. So we invest with Oracle heavily. That's our preferred source of information, source of platform. And Eloqua and BlueKai are strategic investments. Eloqua was obviously our first. It's our data profile and segmentation tool. Acts as our email tool. All of the harvesting goes through there and into CRM and through back. BlueKai is an additive that we engaged and we spent money on. Spent big money on, to be honest with you. Took a chance. Most people buy through an agency and they get the benefit of what BlueKai delivers as a DMP through an agency, but we do it ourselves. Why? So that we can build audiences and custom target. We don't stop at the demographic profiling. We don't stop at the psychographic profiling. We want to dig deeper. And we want to make every dollar we spend effective and efficient. So we invested in that as an opportunity, okay? Technology up, spending down. It took media dollars to put that in place, but now every media dollar that's left that goes into the digital sphere is much more effective. And we wind up with opportunities using that. For example, we did a campaign for our opening game against the Packers last year, a single game advertising campaign, and one of the pieces of information that came back was a hyper index against pro wrestling. Of all the clicks that came through, pro wrestling indexed at 1,100%. So what do? Either you sit on that and you go, that's really interesting. Boy, pro wrestling, boy, I guess we should just, start talking like Ric Flair all day long on social media. Or we can bring Ric Flair to the stadium and build an event around it and test that theory and see what that audience did when they had the opportunity to engage in pro wrestling live at a Jaguars game. And that event yielded a pretty substantial return, okay? And it was a great test of how to put actionable insights to work. okay? We've also built our own custom dashboards for our sales team, okay? And a white label algorithm I talked about called what we call the hot leads list. And the reason that we do this, Ari and Kellen are the guys behind this, right, is so that we have our own ability to measure what we want to measure and drive actions into our sales force the way we want to do it, using our insights internally. And then providing a very millennial-focused sales dashboard that sits on the CRM. It's built in infographic style. What our young reps need is a system that works for them the way they work the system, not a system that was designed for other types of people, okay? So our guys built this, and it allows us to actually do the work in an environment that we've created for our own people. And then there's my favorite tool, and we're not fully integrated yet, okay? I'd love to say we were, but we're not. But what an incredible opportunity this tool provides us with down the line, okay? So this is a product called Crystal. Website's crystalknows.com. And we're engaged with them, and we've done some work with them, but nothing to the degree of where we really need to take it. What it does is it's basically a data scraper. And it scrapes data together and builds psychographic information and gives it to you in a way that you can digest and put it to use. As a rep, what do you need to know about Steve Ziff when you're going on the phone with him? Well, Steve's this is, I swear to God, directly from the web. This is me on the web. Steve is direct in communication, takes decisive action, but lacks patience and tends to ignore details. Right on the money. I mean, right on the money. Notice the fonts were screwed up, right? And I had no patience for it, so I went back there and worked on the guy's computer to tighten it up as much as I could. I mean, he couldn't tell you, and it gives you a 76% accuracy, but that's 100% accurate about me. Then it tells you how to email me, how to talk to me. A 22-year-old sales rep needs information like this to help make their opportunities more fruitful. Okay? And this appends into our CRM down the line and becomes the last wave of information that a rep is staring at when they're looking at that conversation in front of them. So people, right? We talked about technology. We've talked about strategy. Let's talk about people. We don't have a big staff. It's not a large staff by any stretch of the imagination, but it's a really intelligent staff, a very effective staff. And I'll tell you something. And I'd be remiss if I didn't give shouts out. The people aren't here, but my director of marketing and content strategy, Sarah Aloff, is probably the finest director of marketing in sports. Someone tweet that, because she needs to hear it. It's true. She's as bright as it gets. Spencer Koop, who's our manager of marketing strategy, one of the brightest minds in the business. He's an expert in one thing, our technology back-end infrastructure on the marketing side. Came out of nowhere and put a focus on learning Eloqua better than literally anyone in Oracle's universe that operates Eloqua. He goes to the Oracle conference and lectures on Eloqua for them. So hire people that want to be experts in something. And then obviously the connective layers to our analytics team are unprecedented. It's a great group effort. Everybody works really well together. Because the type of people we hire exemplify two things, which are the most two important things when you're hiring people. That they have passion, and that they want to take risk. And we let them. Everybody is a risk taker in our organization. Because without risk, there's no opportunity for growth and greatness. Okay? The uncomfortable nature of what these things bring to a company provides us the opportunity to grow rapidly. Okay? So if you're looking for people, I was just at a CMO conference out in California this week, and I was part of a panel in the CMO of like Sears and Taco Bell, and some big brands were on this panel or in this room, and they were talking about what's the most important thing you look for when you hire people today. Somebody said good marketers. What the hell is that? What is a good marketer? Someone said someone who's accountable. I can't get that from an interview process, but I certainly can tap into whether or not people have passion and whether they're opposed or predisposed for risk aversion. Okay? That's what we're looking for. Is people. And what does that give us? That gives us great information to make decisions like this with our stadium. This is already done. This is a rendering, or actually this is a photo, of what is live in Jacksonville. And you've probably heard about it. This is the sports industry. People in that are like, what? Swimming pools and cabanas in a football stadium? Yes. It's called FanDuelville, and it's the culmination of where fantasy football's Vegas is. That was the story that we worked through with FanDuel to create this experience. And it's pretty incredible. 3,000 people watching each other and partying during a football game, not focused on the game on the field. So it talks about when you give people what they want, because we knew we had a problem. We knew we had a lot of millennials in Jacksonville that were very interested in our brand, but didn't have an environment in the stadium that was really conducive to give them what they were looking for in a hot Sunday afternoon in Jacksonville. So we gave them this, and now they come. Our millennial audience is up as a result of an opportunity like this, and we're not done. Data leads you to big innovations also. There's a hole in our market for entertainment. We're filling it by building an amphitheater and a brand new covered flex field facility that our team will only practice in, but can also be converted into an EDM or standing room only type concert experience for 3,000 plus people. And this is all connected infrastructure to the stadium. So the amphitheater's infrastructure is actually the south end zone of the football stadium, giving us an opportunity to bring people to Everbank Field when they're going to a concert. And one of the which we believe to be a very important statistic, and whether or not people actually are interested in things like season tickets, is have you ever been to our stadium? So if we can get you to the stadium for a Chicago and Doobie Brothers concert, we may have an opportunity there to close a gap. So again, using insights to create experiences like this that have never been done in pro sports and entertainment, where you're building connective venues of a different genre, now will exist in 3 short months as we open with really big concerts like Dave Matthews and Tim Reynolds and Zach Brown Band. It's going to be incredible. But we're not done. There's still work to do. We want to be fully automated as marketers. Trigger-based, trigger-happy, tactile, digital. We want to be automated. I want to be able to give you something that you need with AI telling me how to do it. I don't want to have to guess. I don't want you to have to tell me. I want to basically know ahead of time, when this happens, this goes. Okay? So we want to be fully automated. We want more effective sales CRM input. I do not believe that salespeople, unfortunately, have the tools in front of them at all times to truly input data, which is the true data coming off of a call, as they're having a call that gives us information that we need to create an insight. We need to create a better system for a rep on a phone call during that call to track data for us. And we need to ask those questions on the front end, create inputs for them to easily access that opportunity for us and drop that data in a field that we can go back and look as marketers at later. We need to continue enriching leads. We need to build these profiles out. There is more to learn. We are not done digging deeper. And we need custom tech integrations. We need to be able to sit down now that we've got a lot of our infrastructure pretty, for the most part, effective, and now look at exactly what's left and work with vendors that want to be custom providers of ours to sit down and design exactly what we need that helps us sell and market. And if there's one takeaway from this presentation, it's, start with strategy. Don't start with technology. Don't start with your people. Have a strategy before you do anything, okay? And really, if you need help defining it, widen out your search by talking to other people that have problems that you can identify solutions for. Yeah, you're amazing. Thank you. I appreciate it. 1 minute left for questions. Anyone have any questions at all?
Since the football product isn't great, like you mentioned, does that give you guys more opportunity to take risks and experiment?
Yeah, I've worked for losers my entire career in sports. It's been 11 years of losing. Panthers, Padres, Jaguars. So I'm the problem. I think my road record on the road with the team is like 20 and 200 lifetime. It's awful. So yes, it does. Truly, we always sit down and talk about, I'm sure the Patriots sit down and talk about, what would it be like if we sucked? Right? No, the reality is when you're struggling at the bottom, yeah, it gives you a lot of passion to get up in the morning and fight the challenges, but it makes the job fun too. As a marketer, I want to be challenged. And I don't know the other side of that equation. I've seen it from the brand side when I worked at Office Depot and the agency side on the other end of the table, but I've never seen the positive end of being part of a dynamically great on the field sports team. So for me, this is all I know, but it drives passion inside the organization. And it does allow us to take risks.
To what extent do you apply the learnings and the new capabilities to corporate sales?
I'm sorry, I missed the last part because there was some noise in the back.
Do you apply to the corporate sales efforts as you do your
Sponsorship opportunities, for example? Okay, so basically the way our partnership kind of program works with our marketing team is they come to us for data insights on the front end, right? So traditional agency model is really what we try to deploy. Work with marketing on the front end for insights, and ideas. Let's sit down, because we go through the process more functionally, right? What's the client's objective, right? What's the strategy? Who are they looking to reach? And then instead of it being more, again, very tactile, programmatic type thinking, which is in some cases some of the sponsorship thinking that exists out there, we try to work with our team to be a little bit more creative. But again, very on strategy. If I can't sell a marketer the strategy of why this is going to work for them, it's not going to work. And so we deploy that across the marketing end to be more effective by sitting in the room more and actually working with the client and pitching clients with our sponsorship team. They are not afraid to bring us to the table. They understand that that's a value now. Well, one thing that's also hidden in this presentation that's actually there is one of the very best game presentations that exists in the largest video boards in the world in pure and full 8K. So we have technology to enhance the football watching experience as well, right? And maybe you could see those on the slides, but they're very real, and they bring the game to life in a way that many stadiums can't. So we do have technology that balances out destination environments, but I think football players truly will tell you that they're focused on the field, and they're not really paying attention to all of that little nuance that's out there. It's really hard to pick it up in small doses, right, in a football stadium. It's a little easier in an arena, right? But I would tell you that we do take all of that seriously, but even the technology investments have to have a return. They're just not, it's just not great for the fans, and we move on.
I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but we have to wrap up now. So let's give Steve a round of applause.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.